Okay. So this is Adnan Hasbi, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Rambling of an Analyst. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about whether the stock market will crash. Okay. One of the reasons why I am talking about this episode was one of our, subscriber, Sunny. He has been asking me quite a lot of questions on a very regular basis. And right now, I made it upon myself. I told myself, I have to answer some of his questions. And I'm going to start with one of the harder questions on whether the stock market will crash. So, to answer this, to put context into everything, right? I actually talked about this subject about 8-9 months ago, on which I already predicted that the stock market will kind of crash. And that's one of the reasons why you started seeing me hive off some of my stakes in certain stock in the I think on my Stashaway and also my Wahid platform, given that they invested quite a fair bit in the United States. So you could see me hive off my stocks over there, and I started investing in Malaysia quite a fair bit. So to explain whether the stock market will crash or not, allow me to share some references where I learned from financial textbooks and also economic textbooks, right? And I'm going to try to break it down to you guys on whether the stock market will crash and why so many YouTubers out there are talking about an imminent crash. 2020, we started seeing people saying the market will crash in 2020, but nothing happened. The market went up. 2021, people are saying that the market will crash, and yet the market still goes up. So there is a mismatch between what people are saying and what's really happening in the market. So to explain everything, since I am more of an academic and I'm more of an analyst and I love to read, let me use certain frameworks on why I think the market would go downwards, right? So in general, if you look at a stock market, right? A stock market is measured by indices, right? So KLCI measures what is happening in the Malaysian market, while the Dow Jones measures what is happening in the US market, right? So when we say that there's going to be a dip in the market, meaning to say we are just basically saying maybe the KLCI or the Dow Jones might take a dip or it might drop, right? So what makes the KLCI or the Dow Jones? Question? Anyone out there? Okay. What makes these indices are companies, right? And what makes these indices are stocks, right? And what makes stocks are listed companies. So in order for business, so in a nutshell, right, companies, a lot of companies, if they are very valuable, then they will be, selected to represent the KLCI and Dow Jones. So basically, businesses represents the stock exchange, right? In a very simple nutshell. Now, right now with the crisis, right? Right now we can see that what's happening is like the whole world with the shutdowns and the lockdowns and whatnot. What's happening is that a lot of people, number one, they are losing their jobs, and number two, we can see that there's very little interaction between people and businesses. So in Malaysia, we can see this particular instance where a lot of physical shops are already shut down. You can see all of the the to let sign or to kedai disewa or shops on sale. We can already see a lot of physical shops shutting down, right? And in the United States also, if you read the reports, what's happening is that a lot of businesses are struggling at this point in time. But having said that, why is it when a lot of businesses are struggling, why is the stock market going up in the United States, and in Malaysia it has been relatively flat? The answer is relatively simple. In the United States, what is happening is that the government is giving money to its people and is also printing money to actually prop up the stock exchange. So even though the economy is going down, but what's happening is that the government is printing a lot of printing money, right, and is buying a lot of stocks in the stock exchange. So or is buying a lot of bonds, or is buying a lot of paper assets, right? So what's happening is propping up the stock exchange. On top of that, when the US government is giving people some money, what's happening is that some of these people they would actually spend in the economy, and others actually buy and sell stocks. And what's happening right now, you can see the rise of meme stocks, where you can see a lot of investors just buying stocks for the sake of buying stocks. You can see the bitcoins going up, and so on and so forth. So what's happening right now is that the economy, even though the real economy is not doing that well, but the stock exchange is going up, right? So if I guess the real economy, or if businesses represents a stock exchange, what's happening is that there is a bubble, right? So this is a stock exchange, and this is the real economy. What's happening is that very little people are buying, and there's very little interaction between people and businesses. And when that happens, sales will drop, right? And like I said before, as a fundamental analyst, for companies to increase in stock price, what needs to happen is that they need to actually make profits. When they make profits, what's going to happen is that it adds value to a company. But when a company does not make enough profits, what's going to happen is the stock price, in theory, should drop, right? Having said that, however, if you look at the KLCI, right, the KLCI, we can see that on a 5-year basis, I'm talking about 5-year basis. You can actually go to KLCI, you can Google KLCI, you can look at it on a 5-year chart, or you can look at it on a 1 or 2-year chart. What's happening is that the KLCI has been relatively flat, or it actually dropped a little bit, right? So what this basically means is, and this is very evident, that there's not much of governmental propping of the KLCI, number one. And what's happening is that a lot of retail investors are actually coming into the market. And when retail investors come into the market, that has a little prop effect on the KLCI, right? But having said that, I guess to put everything in a nutshell, again, I'm going to go back to the question on whether there is going to be a crash, right? So to recap, in a nutshell, remember this. The stock exchange consists of businesses, right? Businesses, how they actually go up in value is when they make more sales. And if the real economy is not doing that well, what's going to happen is there's going to be less sales. In theory, it should drop, right? And if you ask me when will the markets drop, it's anyone's guess. And that's one of the reasons why you can see a lot of financial analysts, YouTube guys, they're always coming out to say, this year is going to be a crash. And then after that, 2020 passes. And then after that, 2021 passes. And then you can hear, this year is going to be a crash. What's really happening right now, like I said, there's a mismatch between the market and the real economy. And when there is a bubble, right, in theory, eventually when the bubble bursts, there's going to be a correction, right? So there lies the simple, I guess, the summary of what I want to try to say. Eventually, there may be a correction, or there may be a sell down, or there may be, the market will drop. But as to when, no one knows. And that's one of the reasons why, and this is a very dangerous thing, we can see a lot of money being pumped into the market. I don't know whether you guys notice this. A lot of money is being pumped into the market, right? But it's a very nervous feeling in the market. Everyone is like looking at each other. If there's some sudden change in there's some sudden news on the change in government, what's going to happen? You start seeing the stock market just being very nervous. The whole thing of it all, it is not based on fundamentals. It's not the economy is growing, and this company is representing the growth in the economy, and that's one of the reasons why you start seeing the market go up. Okay, it's a lot of, like I said, in theory, what's happening is that the Malaysian economy is not doing that well. Global economy also, with the shutdowns and whatnot, right? And that's one of the reasons why we can see the market is as nervous as it is, right? And also that's one of the reasons why YouTubers like me, we are too afraid to even give a call whether it's going to drop, whether it's not going to drop. But having said that, I guess putting my neck out there and telling you guys, if you look at the textbooks, if you look at financial textbooks, you look at economic textbooks, right? Like I said, there's a mismatch between what's happening in the real economy and what's happening in the markets, right? And when there's a mismatch, we can see a bubble. And like anything, the bubble will eventually pop. So when the bubble pops, then the music stops. And when the music stops, then a lot of people may be less than happy if they have their money invested in the stock market. So yeah, I mean, as a financial YouTuber, it's not in my favor to say that the markets will pop. But having said that, I like I said, I'm here to help. I'm not here to I guess get views and whatnot. So that's one of the reasons why I just thought it would be prudent to share my little thought on what may happen. With that, it's going to be an awkward maybe couple of seconds while I ask anyone has a question. All right. Okay. So while I'm waiting for any questions, just on a side note, like I said, like Sunny, he has been commenting in most of my latest videos, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to actually answer his questions. And I do read comments. I do read comments, but it just takes me a while to actually answer the questions. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm going to come up with a 1 minute episode. This 1 minute episode is about a book which I read. It's called Jutawan Senyap. In Malay, English is The Silent Millionaire, and it actually talks about the silent millionaires over here in Malaysia, and it really captures how people, it doesn't. Every time when I read a book on money management, it always talks about the US, or it always talks about the experience in outside markets. But this book, Jutawan Senyap, talks about how there are a group of millionaires over here in Malaysia, which is, quietly amassing wealth. And I just wanted to share with you guys in the next, just watch out for it. I'm going to create a 1 minute episode on that, just to give a little, taste of the book, which I read. And if you guys like that particular, summary, do tell me, and then we can just discuss it in a longer format like this format, right? So with that, happy weekend, guys. Thank you so very much for hopping by, giving me the bunch of thumbs up. In future, if you guys like this particular episode, do give me a bunch of thumbs up. If not, write me questions. It's only through really good questions we can get really good answers, and only with very good answers we can take good action. So it's a learning process for even me, right? With that, guys, take care. Have a good weekend, and hope to see you guys in the next episode.